Good morning students. Welcome to the next class of Unix and shell programming named as the file system. Okay. So here there are three main sections of this file system. Starts with our the lecture, the so-called the lecture contents. The lecture contents again there are the basics of files, directories and file names, types of Unix files, and then permissions. After that inodes. Okay. These are the lecture contents of the file system, and then the lecture objective. So the student will be able to understand mainly the basics of files, directories of Unix and shell programming. Apart from that one, student will also be able to understand the different types of files of Unix and shell programming, and then students will also be able to understand different type of permissions, how the permissions can be accessed by the file, along with the index number as well as inode number of Unix and shell programming. And then coming to the lecture outcome. So at the end of this lecture, the student will be able to understand what is the importance of file as well as the permissions of Unix and shell programming, importance of the files as well as the permissions of Unix and shell programming. So these are all the three main areas, that is once again I am repeating: lecture contents, lecture objectives, and then lecture outcomes. And then coming to the first topic of the file system. So we start with the basics of files. So generally we again the actual definition of a file. In general, a file is nothing but a smallest information where the so-called data is available. Okay. So all data, whatever the data available in Unix, it is organized into the file. Okay. So again, all files can be organized into directories. So means that, so once again repeating here, a file is nothing but it is a place where we can store some data. Again, all files can be organized into some the particular directories. Okay. And then coming to so after that one, whatever the procedure followed for the files, the same procedure followed for the directories. So again those directories again reorganized into a very tree-like structure. Okay. A hierarchical structure or a tree-like structure. So a tree-like structure that can be, it means that the most of the cases files in the Unix system are organized into a multi-level, that means more than one level, a multi-level hierarchical structure known as a directory tree, So that is about the main introduction regarding the basics of files. And coming to the next one, so at the very top of the file, so as I have mentioned in the diagram, at the very top of the file there is one directory called as root. Okay. So that is the basis of this entire hierarchy tree. So which is represented by a dash, which is represented by the /. So the remaining whatever I have mentioned here, all those things are the descendants of root. So once again I am repeating. So apart from this, according to this diagram, so at the beginning of the diagram we will have a root. From then we have the categories of files. We will have so many number of categories of files. Okay. And then coming to so this is the diagram. Okay. For better understanding, I am just rearrange the diagram like this. Now we will see in detail about all these files in detail. So let me start with directories and file names, which we call it as directories and file names. Yeah. So like I said earlier, so the root. So the root is simply called, that is designated by the symbol called as /. Okay. So it indicates it itself alone or denotes the root of the file system. And coming back to the next important file name is bin /bin. So bin stands for actually the binary information, that is binaries, and which contains most of the cases, what do you mean by what is the information processed by the bin. So as I said in the first, the basics of commands, it includes ls, that means listing the files, as well as cp. cp stands for copying the information. And then coming to the next one is, the next file name is called as boot. So the name itself indicates, which will contains the successful booting information or the successful booting process. Okay, that is about the next important file. After that, we are having the next file name is called as DEV. It stands for the name, once again the name itself indicates that it devices, so which contains the representation of all peripheral devices. Whatever the peripheral devices we are having now, all that includes in this DEV, or we may call it as pseudo devices, or we may, okay. The next file is ETC. So ETC stands for, that means the additional information, which means it contains the system wise configuration. That means the configuration, the configuration regarding the files and system databases. So whatever the configuration regarding the files and system databases will be included in the ETC. And then we will have the very basic home. The home is nothing but the home directories. It indicates the home directory for the concerned user. After that, we are having LIB. So LIB means that, which will again it includes some system libraries and some critical files such as kernel modules as well as device drivers. Next. So apart from all these things, we will have some more files regarding the directory hierarchy. We may also call it as directory hierarchy. So the next one is media. So media set, that means that it will be having of a mount point where some removable devices, such as for example, you can take USB, that means universal serial bus, some sticks, media players, etc., etc. And then coming to the next file name is MNT. So MNT stands for mount point. So it is the mount point where the file system will be located. So especially the major purpose of these mount point is for, that is hard disk partition. So partitioning the hard disks, and then remote file systems as well as network file systems, and then CD-ROM, DVD or DVD drives, CD-ROM or DVD drives. So next one is PROC. The name itself indicates. So PROC, it is elaborated as process file system or process virtual file system, showing the information about the both processes as well as files, showing the information regarding the both processes as well as the files. And then the root, like I said earlier, the root is the main basis of this directory hierarchy. So the root will be the home directory for the super user, it is the system administrator. So it will act as the super user for the so-called system administrator. And coming to the next one, the next file called as TMP. So TMP, again once again I am repeating. So TMP stands for, which is a place, it is the place for the temporary files. And then USR. So USR is nothing but, so it is originally the directory which holding the user home directory. So wherever the user related information that can be represented by this USR. Next, USR/bin. So again this also includes the directory which stores all the information regarding the binary programs, especially with that is residing in a bin, that means binary, as well as SBin, okay, etc., as well as SBin, etc. So this is regarding the some of the directories and the file names, Next, and then coming to the next, after completion of directory hierarchy, we will move to the next important concept of types, the so-called file system named as types of Unix files. So let me start with this. So basically the Unix file system contains different types of files. So let's just look at the diagram. So these are the classification regarding the Unix file system. We start with ordinary files and then directories, some special files, followed by pipes and then sockets. After that the last one is known as symbolic links. So these are all some of the classifications of the Unix file system. So let us start in detail what exactly mean by all these things. So let me start with ordinary files. So as the name itself indicates, so most of the cases an ordinary file is a file that contains the information regarding in terms of data as well as program instructions. Most of the cases ordinary files can be available as in terms of data or text or program instructions. So how we can represent it in Unix operating system. So the syntax for this one is in language format, we can use the ls option L. ls stands for list with the long format. So L stands for the long format. So most of the cases it can be indicated with the symbol called as option, that is, whereas here dash is nothing but an option symbol. So this is the responsibility of the ordinary file. What exactly mean by an ordinary file? And coming to the after the ordinary files, we will have directories. So what directories does? So a directory can store, it is the combination of both ordinary files and some special files. Okay. So especially what a directory contains. Most of the cases, a directory will contain an entry for every file and subdirectory. Okay. So a directory will contain an entry for every file. So wherever the file wants to enter, it can be located within the directory. So again, each entry can has the two components. So within that one, each and every entry will having, it is the combination of two components, namely, so that is the file name, starts with file name, and then unique identification number named as UID, the file name as well as UID for the concerned file or directory called the inode number. So unique identification number, sometimes we can represent as a inode number. So what is syntax for this one? In longest format, the syntax of this unique identification number is, so ls option L as usual, but apart from that one, we will have the symbol called as D. Okay. So most of, why? Because it is a directory now. So most of the cases it is indicated by the symbol called as option D. That is the next one. Okay. So next, after that one, after completion of directories, we will have the next files called as special files. So special files are nothing but, most of the cases special files, it can be used to represent the real physical devices. So what do you mean real physical devices? Such as you can take the printers, or you can take any tape drives or any terminal. Most of the cases they are meant for IO operations. Most of the cases they are meant for the input output operations. And then apart from, so again the special files are of two types. There are two types of special files, that is character special file. One is, the first one is character special file, and the next one is block special file. The next one is block special file. So these are the two types of special files. One is, once again I am repeating here, character special files, and next one is block special files. Okay. And then coming to syntax, so whatever we have seen for the ordinary files and directories, the same will be represented here, but in this case we can designate the syntax by means of two ways. One is for, first of all, in longest format, how the characters can be represented, how the character files can be represented. So the character files can be marked with a symbol, as the name itself indicates, C. So it can be denoted by the symbol C. Okay. And then after that one, in another case, the so-called block special files, it indicated by the symbol as B. So once again I am repeating here, the special files are of two types. One is character special files. Most of the cases it can be represented by the C, along with the ls option L as usual, and then we are having the block special files. So whereas in this case the output of this block special files can be designated by the symbol called as B. Okay. So these are all the first 3 important files of Unix. Next, my dear students, next coming to the remaining files of Unix operating system. So just now I have mentioned here, so we are having of pipes. The next important files of the Unix operating system is named as pipes. So what do you mean pipe here? That means the main purpose of pipe in Unix operating system is it allows you to combine, so link the commands or combine the commands. So the purpose of pipe is to combining the two commands. Okay. In other words, it acts as a temporary file. Okay. Just nothing but it will act as a temporary file where it is used to hold the data from one command and until it is read by the another command. Okay. So simple meaning is, until unless whereas the other command will not read, it cannot be hold the data. That is the importance of the pipe command. So here all of you go here, that is the next one is the example here. So what the example I have taken for this in this case is, okay, just all of you just look at here. The example I have taken here. So who, all we know about the basic command of who does nothing but who are the user currently logged in. Here the symbol, whatever the symbol we are using now, the symbol we are using here, the symbol we are, whatever the symbol we are using here, that is called as pipe. So what it does, along with the next command. So here we are using two commands. One is who, next one is WC. So what WC stands for word count, and then along with the option L, that means in longish format. So it will simply, I can say that pipe is used to combine the who are the users currently logged in, along with it indicates about the word count. It indicates about the word count in a longish format. So word count, again, word count in the sense the number of lines and what are the words, and then the collection of characters. All of you look at here. Once again repeating here. So it is used to designate who are the user currently logged in. Who are the users currently logged in? Especially those word count can be represented in terms of lines, words, and then characters. That is the importance of the pipe command. Next, after that one, the last but one file name is sockets. Okay. So sockets especially meant for inter-process communication. Sockets especially meant for IPC, that means inter-process communication. So which allows for, it is for advanced inter-process communication. So it is most of the cases where we will see this type of files. Especially you can take in client servers. Most of the client server frameworks use this type of files, sockets. So how we can designate the output of the sockets? So as usual, you can take list, ls with option L. So list with the longish format, so that can be marked by according to our name, socket symbol is option S. ls option L along with the symbol called as option S. Here S stands for socket. Here S stands for socket. Okay. So that is the importance of the socket file in Unix operating system. And coming back to the last type of Unix file, that is named as the symbolic link. Okay. So the purpose of symbolic link, by using this symbolic link, we can refer some other file of the so-called file system. So the another name for symbolic link, sometimes we can also call it as it is also named as soft link. Okay. So both are same. So either symbolic link or soft link. So there is no particular variation here. So finally we are having the syntax for this one. So the syntax for this one, we can use it with again whatever we have mentioned for the previous one in the longest format. So ls with option L, that means it can be marked by the symbol called as L. Okay. So here L stands for link, okay, not long format. So that is the difference. So whereas this L stands for in a longest format, whereas this L stands for the so-called link, the so-called symbolic link. So this is the last file of the Unix operating system. This is the last file of the Unix operating system. Next. Now, so with this one we have finished the types of Unix files. So after that one, after completion of the directory hierarchy, and then different types of Unix files, now we will enter into the very, very important concept of this unit, that is permissions. Yeah. So generally, all of you look at here. Yeah. So most of the cases, so generally every file and directory, so you can take a file or you can take a directory. So whatever you take, you can take in your Unix or Linux system. It is the combination of three permissions. It is the combination of three permissions. So that is all of you just look at the diagram here. So I have mentioned about so it means most of the cases owners assign permissions on every file and directory. So this is the actual diagram here. So let me explain this diagram in detail. So all of us look at here. So here is first of all, here is the user. Yeah. So this is the user, and especially user will be composed of three permissions: read permission, write permission, and then execute permission, So similarly, the next person is group. Okay. So group also having three types of permissions categorized as read, write, and then execute. Read, write, and then execute. So okay. So last but not the least, that is called as all. So all are, we may also call as, sometimes it is also named as others. Okay. All are sometimes named as others. So again the combination of read, write, and then execute. So once again I am repeating, my dear students. So permissions in your files or directories can be of three types. Again, those are of that can be categorized as three different types. One for user, the next one for group, the last one is called as all. Whereas user will be again categorized into read permission, write permission, and then execute permission for your particular file or directory. Similarly, group will be having of read permission, write and execute. The final one is all. All means others. It can be the combination of read permission, write permission, and then execute permission. So this is the concerned file or directory. So this is the concerned file or directory where all users, groups, and others can be allowed, can be accessed to the particular this one. So this is about the basic introduction regarding the permissions. Okay. Now we will see some of the examples regarding these permissions. Yeah. So once again, just now I mentioned here now. So once we will discuss in detail about what I exactly mean by all these permissions. We start with read permission. So the purpose of read permissions, what it does, it gives the authority. It gives the authority to check how to open and read a file. So not the basic aim of the read permission is to open. It will give the access to open as well as read a file. And coming to the next one is write permission. So what write permission does? So it will gives the authority to how major aim of this one is yes, modify the contents of a file. Whatever the data we are having for that one particular file, that will be modified by enabling the write operation, and then so especially the write permissions, whatever the directory you can take, so it will give the authority. So what exactly mean by these modifications? It includes add, removal, and renaming. So once again I am repeating, my dear students, the combination, the purpose of write permissions is to modification of the so-called contents of a file, which includes addition, removal, and then renaming the files which are stored in your particular directory. And then coming to the execute. Okay. So in so-called Unix or Linux operating system, you cannot run a program unless the execute permission is set. Unless we cannot set the execute permission, we cannot run the Unix or Linux operating system. Okay. And coming to the example here, so this is the example I have taken here. So whereas we will have in a shell prompt. So first of all, let us take, so when the ls with option, so whenever we are using ls option L along with the shell prompt, the dollar prompt, it will give the detailed information about the file. So whereas L stands for the long format. As I said earlier, it is the long format information, regarding the file. So whenever I type this command, so it indicates about the entire file information. That means it starts with the dash. See, it starts the dash. So dash nothing but it is a file. So it is the combination of first one R and W, read, write, there is no execute permission. For user, for group, it will have again it will be having of read and write. Again there is no execute permission here. Finally, it will be the combination, it will be the others will be having of only read permission. There are no write permission and the execute permission. And then, so this is the hardware link. This is the hardware link. And then coming to this is the user. The next one, this is the group. So these are the attributes. And then the so-called file size. File size, most of the cases, file size will be available in bytes. The file size will be available in bytes. And then, so this is the date of file creation. The date of file creation. Okay. And then the last one is, the last but not the least, the file name. So this is regarding the introduction about the permissions by using this file. Now coming back to one more example in detail. Now all of you just look at here. I will explain all these things in detail. Yeah. Now coming to the first part. So here the first part, like I said earlier, the first part, I start with dash. So whenever after pressing the ls option L, whenever you get this dash, it indicates a file. That's it. Okay, there is nothing wrong with it. There is no second thought. And then RW, read operation, write operation, dash, no execute permission. Read, write, no execute, R dash dash. Okay, so if it is a directory, suppose if you want to give the information about the directory, suppose it should be a, then in that case, yeah, so this will be a D here. So D stands for a directory. Understood the difference? So don't be confused. So the clear difference is, so whenever it is a file, it is a dash. Whenever it is a directory, it should start with D, small d. Okay. Now the same thing I have represented in the another example here. So DRWX, R dash X, R dash X. So here it is a, here D is a, D represents the directory. But what exactly I said, the D represents the directory. And then the remaining are, first the user will be having of all permissions, read, write, execute permission. Again, whereas coming to the group, read permission, no write permission, only execute permission. And then R dash X, that means no write permission, there is no write permission. And coming back to the next attribute, that is called as the hardware. Okay. And then, like I said earlier, the owner name, the group name. So both, I have taken both owner name and group name same, that means. Okay. And then, like I said earlier, it is the file size. Okay. The file size will be displayed, designated by this one. And then the date of creation, the last one is the directory name. The last one is the directory name. So this is the difference between the permissions of files along with the permissions how we can designate with the directory. Okay. Say yes. So whatever I have mentioned here now, I have indicated with some bubble points. Read the file, write or edit the file, and then cannot execute the file. Okay. Why? Because so here it can be the execute bit is set to the dash. So dash stands for it is there are no permissions. Okay. If it is a dash, there are no permissions. So this is regarding the difference between the file permissions as well as the directory permissions. So after that one, so we will go to the next important example. One more example I have taken here. Yeah. So this is the second part. So the second part is, as I mentioned here, so the second part I have taken as RW dash. Yeah. So this RW dash, so again read operation, and then for the, this is for not for the user, this is for group. This is for the group, not for the, so, but this part is for the user, this part is for the user. So that is the difference. So whereas the group can have only read permission and the write permission, and once again there are no execute permission. There are no execute permission. Okay. And then next, coming to the next one. Yeah. So finally we will have the group, the information regarding the group, the information regarding the group here. So what the group can have, see here, I have clearly mentioned here, the group can have only read permission. There are no write permission and there is no execute permissions according to our example. So read, write, and then so R, once again I am repeating here, R stands for read, W stands for write, and X stands for execute. Okay. So as I said earlier, so group, the last one is also called as others, or sometimes it will be named as I said, as I mentioned earlier, all permissions. So this is the some more points regarding the permissions of Unix operating system. Okay. So with this one we have finished the permissions of Unix or Linux operating system. So which means that what is the conclusion of the previous one is, once again I am repeating. So I have mentioned about, I have shown the clear difference between how the permissions for the files will be represented as well as how the permissions for the directories will be represented. Okay. So that is the main concept of the permissions. Next, after that one, the last concept of this Unix file system, that is inodes. Okay. Inode, this is also the very important concept after directory hierarchy, after types of Unix files, after permissions. This is also a very important topic. So what inode does? The name itself indicates, because as I mentioned in the previous one, in the directory hierarchy, so inode nothing but a index number. I stands for index. So it is nothing but, so how we can represent this inode? Yeah, one second. So uniquely existing number for all the files. So an inode is a uniquely existing number for all the files in your whatever the version. You can take Linux or you can take the Unix operating system. Okay. So how can you say that an inode is created? Very simple. So whenever you have created a file, so whenever you have created a file by using the, so what is the, how we can create a file? By using the command. Let us say I want to create a file called as Unix. So what is the syntax for that one? The syntax already I mentioned here. CAT redirection operator Unix. So whenever I want to create the so-called file, automatically at that point of time only, the consent, the inode for the Unix will be created. The inode number will be created for the consent file called as Unix operating system. And then, in another words, how we can again define an inode. So an inode is nothing but a, simply it can act as a data structure. So where it can hold the some data about data. So data about data in the sense some metadata. The exact meaning of this one is some metadata regarding the files. Okay, as well as you can take the directories. So what are the basics? So apart from this one, what are the contents that are included in the inodes or index nodes? So basically an inode of a particular file or directory is a combination of all these things. First of all, let me start with user ID, user identification number of a file. Next, group ID of the file, and then device ID, file size, date of creation, permissions, owner of the file, and then file protection flag and link. So once again I am repeating here, what are the basic contents that can be processed by the inodes? So it will be starts with user ID, group ID, and then apart from the user ID and group ID, most of the cases we know about user ID and group ID. Apart from this one, we also having of device ID, and then the file size. Most of the cases how we can measure the file size in terms of bytes, and then on what date it has been created, and then just now I mentioned here what are the permissions processed by the file, and apart from that the person who have created the file. So the person who have created the file, he automatically becomes the owner of the file. The person who have created the file, automatically he becomes the owner of the file. Last but not the least, the file protection flags and links. That means the so-called software links or the symbolic links. Soft links are symbolic links. So this is about the some basic points, some key points regarding the inode number or index number. Next. So apart from the inode number, we will also have another key term called as inode table. So what exactly mean by inode table? So actually the inode table contains the very simple. So whatever the inode numbers that can be created by the file or directory, so that can be maintained by the this inode table. Once again repeating here, the purpose of inode table is nothing but the table which holds the inodes which are created by the files. Okay. So apart from that one, everyone should know about what is the command we are going to use to list all the inodes. You have a doubts. So sir, how we can mention, how we can got the inode numbers in Unix or Linux operating system? So simple is very simple, students. The very simple point is we are having the very important command called as df option I. So df stands for disk free along with the option I. Here I stands for, just now I mentioned here, inode, only with option I, not capital I. So here option I stands for inode. Okay. So to check how many numbers are free and how many left are unused. So whenever I am typing this one, so whenever I am typing $df with option I, df with option I. So here it indicates about the how many number of so-called inodes are free and how many left, how many are still unused in the file system, in the Unix or Linux file system. So that is about the importance of the inode table. And coming back to the all of just my students, look at here the example here. So in the example I have mentioned here, so whatever I have taken the syntax I have mentioned here. So in the so-called shell prompt df option I. So whenever I type this command, so first we start with file system. It illustrates about the file system. So again, the particular device we are using. So what are the files it will be having of? All these files will be represented one by one. And then now coming back to here, the very important. See, here we are having. So all of just see here, these are the numbers. These are the numbers that are called as inode numbers for the concerned file. And then this field is, this attribute is regarding the how many number of inodes are used. Okay? And then this is for how many number of still free. Okay? How many number of are used and how many number of free. And then the last but one is percentage. I use percentage. I stands for how many number of inodes percentage. I mean, it indicates the percentage. So first of all, what the file we have taken now /db sda7, it is having of only 6%. For the remaining all files, it will be uniquely having of 1%. And the last one is, the last but not the least, the last attribute of this one is, so this is attribute, so mounted on. What exactly mean we mounted on here? Mounted on stands for on what location it is available. So that is DEV or run lock, or see, these are different types of devices where it is located. So with this one we have finished the concept regarding the inode table. Okay. So yes, so whatever we have seen, inode number, once again I have just given as a with simple identification here. So yeah. So inode number will simply can be represented as it is an unique identification number. Okay. How it can be created? So everyone look at here. So the syntax for this one is ls with along with option li, So what ls, once again, ls stands for list, option is that dash. So L stands for long format of inode number. So here small I stands for the long format of this inode number. So that exactly mean by the so-called inode number. So we can get the inode number. So like this, the example for the inode number like this. So in this case, so I have taken a screenshot of this one. So in the so-called shell prompt, we can type ls with option li along with the whatever the file name or whatever the directory we are having of. So once we type this command on a particular shell or terminal, we can obtain the all inode numbers detail information. So this is the total number of 30,000. Okay, 3,09,892 total number of them, and then that whatever the so-called inode numbers are there now. Apart from that one, see. Apart from that one, we will have the consent, the all permissions, the username, the group name, okay, the inode number, and the date of creation, okay, the date of creation along with the file name. So this is the difference. So what ls option li does in the sense, whatever the file or directory will be having of, that will give the not only inode number, it will also indicates the consent permissions for the particular file or directory, either read permission or write permission or not permission, no permission will be there. Similarly for, this is for what? This is for file. Like I said earlier, so whenever there is a dash here, it will is a file. Similarly, we are having of D directory. So the remaining two are directories. So again, these two are the concerned inode numbers. These two are the concerned inode numbers. So this is the remaining are same, the owner name, group name, the file size in bytes, the directory size in bytes, the date of creation, and the final one is the directory name. This is also a directory name. Whereas this is the file name. So this is the one more clear-cut example of the inode number. How we are going to obtain the inode number by using your Unix or Linux operating system. Okay. Next. See. So I have expanded the diagram. That's just whatever I have expanded so far now. Simply I have expanded this diagram. Again, same output I have taken. Okay. Next. Yeah. Now coming back to the last one, the last thing included in the inode number. Okay. The last topic, the last topic. That is inode structure of a directory. So we may also have a structure of a file also. But in this class, we will only know about what exactly mean by the the inode structure of a, okay, the inode structure of a directory. So the diagram for this, so the generally the inode structure of a directory will be look like this. Okay, this is the, first of all, it is the combination of two separate parts. So this is the actual inode number here, the major, the hierarchy here, this is the hierarchy here. It start with dot. So I'm talking about directory now. So it is start with the dot along with the concerned inode. For example, you can take cd dot, okay, cd dot, just like that one, dot along with the inode number. In next case, we will have double dots. The next you can take it as cd double dot, okay, change directory, okay, along with the, again this also, in this case also we will have its concerned inode number. After that one, so I'm talking about directory. So apart from that one, these two, we will have some folders, their concerned inode numbers, and then followed by some number of files. So actually directory is what? Directory is nothing but some collection of files. So it will having up some files along with the inode numbers. Okay. So similarly, we are having up, he can also be, okay, one more folder is also represented here along with the inode number 3470024. It is also the concerned inode number. And then one more file is there, file 3. After this one, we will have one more inode number. So whatever you have taken now, so whatever the information you have taken in the inode structure, it will indicate the, for everything it will be having of one inode number. It will be having of one inode number. So the left part, whatever I have mentioned here, the left part just here, I have shown in within the semicircle, file and folder names. That's it, file and folder name. Whereas the right part stores a inode corresponding to those names. That's it. Inode corresponding to the whatever the files or whatever the folders or whatever the directories we are having. Okay. So this is the structure of the exact structure of a inode, okay, directory. Okay. So this is the expansion of this diagram in clear cutly. So with this one we have finished the last concept of this Unix file system, that is inodes. So what? So once again I am recalling the topics we have discussed so far. I have taken the summary here. Once again, my students, we started with basics of files. We have discussed about so many number of, that means exact meaning is, the another meaning is the basics of files in the sense, it includes the collection of files, that means different files, and then directory hierarchy. So we have seen about one structure, tree-like structure, and then we have types of Unix files, different types of ordinary files, special files, pipes, sockets, all these things whatever we have seen. And then, the permissions in Unix. The permissions for Unix, both files as well as directories, and the last but not the least, inodes. So this is the summary of the concept. Next, so what are the questions you may get in these topics? Okay, the first question you may get in this topic is explain about the directory hierarchy of Unix with a neat diagram. The first and important question is. Next question is list and discuss about the different types of files in Unix. The next question you may get is list and explain how or why permissions are needed in Unix or Linux operating system with a suitable example. The fourth question you may get is discuss about importance of inodes in Unix or Linux operating system. The last question you can get explain about the structure of inode directory with a neat sketch. Okay, so these are all about the questions or assignments you will get. Thank you so much. Thank you.